The sun is shining, the vibes are good, and Manchester City are making moves. Welcome back to the City Ramble. Everybody leading the conversation in the world of Manchester City. If you aren't already, hit the subscribe button. Like I've said plenty of times now, loads of content throughout the summer, throughout the transfer window, and of course throughout the Club World Cup. Discord link if you want to get involved as well. That's in the description of this video. But let's get into it. Manchester City title challengers again? That is the question that I will be attempting to answer. Obviously, I don't know the answer. So we'll try and delve through it. We'll try and see where we stand. But City's mini transfer window in the first part before the Club World Cup was an absolute, I think everybody can agree, barnstorming success. Ryan Aït-Nouri in the door, that's done and dusted. Ryan Cherki in the door, that's done and dusted. Tijani Reinders through the door, that's done and dusted. Marcus Bettinelli as well, the Scott Carson replacement. Rest in peace, Scott. Well, no, actually, he's still alive, he's still fine, but Scott Carson's City career is over. 4 signings, obviously 3 of them big signings, big players, first team players. Not for big fees, really, when you come to think of it. Obviously, 100-odd million quid is still a lot, but at the same time, Liverpool have just bought Florian Wirtz for 116 million, all included, add-ons included. So, look, I think City can be really proud, really happy with the business they've done so far in the mini transfer window. Are Man City title challengers? Not if they stop there. Not if they stop there, because I still think there is a big question mark over that right back position. I've said a couple of times now in different videos, made a video about Tino Livramento and why I thought, or well, I feel like City should go out, overpay whatever Newcastle, maybe not whatever Newcastle asking for, but you get the point. I think City should really go out, spend big on Tino Livramento, because that is a position that if you bag him, you're locking down for probably the best part of a decade. I genuinely think he's that good. We're seeing him in action for the England under-21s at the moment as well. So if you lost without football before the Club World Cup starts, you can check out some of those games. He's been playing really well. I think City need to sort of right back, and I do wonder, and maybe this is more of a question for you guys watching along or listening, what happens to the goalkeeper situation, because Guardiola has spoken about already, I think it was earlier in the summer, was it on a golf day or something like that? He was asked quite a question basically, and it's worth noting the answer was in Spanish, so maybe there's a bit of lost in translation going on here. But he said that he thinks Ederson and Ortega are both going to stay. Now, City's goalkeeper situation is quite funny, including Bettinelli. All 3 of their contracts, Ederson, Ortega and Bettinelli, all 3 of those contracts are ending in 2026 at the end of next season. So I've got a hunch, and this is, purely hypothetical. I'm not necessarily reporting this here. It's purely sort of a theory. But I think City have another goalkeeper signing this summer. And I don't know if that's the number 1 spot. Diogo Costa has been mentioned. The Belgium lad from Lille, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's like Chevelle or something like that. Terrible pronunciation, if that's even correct. They've been mentioned as potential options, or I don't know if City go for a maybe a younger backup option. I said earlier in the summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ederson stay for 1 year, City sell Ortega, and then go out and buy James Trafford, have him as the understudy, if you like, with a view to potentially next season, when Ederson's out of contract, moving him in as the number 1. I don't know. I just feel like right back and goalkeeper right now are positions that City, if they really want to be serious and get back up there next season, they should be targeting. Because, look, Liverpool won the league. They deserve to win the league. In the end, they did it, well, no, throughout the most of the season, to be fair, they did it at an absolute canter. Arsenal's pathetic title challenge was not worthwhile at all. Possibly, if they'd have had somebody pushing them, they might have got over that 90-point barrier. I don't know. But in the end, I think it was 84 points they won the league by. That's not a lot. And Liverpool have done a good thing by fixing a problem that doesn't exist by signing Florian Wirtz. It's kind of how City used to operate when they were on top. They'd go out and get a player, like Jack Grealish, for example. And I know I'm not starting that debate again, but there's similarities there where you might look at the squad and go, oh, does City actually need Jack Grealish? Maybe not, but they still go and sign him. And, we've spoke about him doing well in the most part for City anyway. And then I feel like that's kind of how Liverpool have operated with Florian Wirtz. There's a big name available, go and make a statement, that's what they've done. But, are they going to be uncatchable next season? I don't know. Based on this season, I think a decent City gives them a good go. I'm not necessarily saying City beat them in the title race or whatever, but given the circumstances surrounding the Blues this year, injuries, drop-off, players who have clearly exhausted mentally and physically like Phil Foden, I think if a few of those factors weren't in place, City give them a better chance, give them a better go. I think that bridging that gap is the first thing that I want to see City do. Can they compete with Liverpool, who were a good title winner, but I don't necessarily think a vintage one? And to do so, to bring it back, I do think they'll need a goalkeeper, and I do think they'll need a right back. Obviously, we've seen two sort of semi-attacking additions in Tijani Reinders and Ryan Cherki. Plenty of talk, by the way, picking up surrounding Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. And in one of the earlier videos this summer that we did on this channel, we spoke about players that I think City need to move on, basically, if they want to start challenging again. And I said that one of Gundogan, Bernardo or Kovacic probably will have to leave just to sort of freshen that midfield up a bit. Obviously, by that point, Reinders hadn't been signed, but he has come in the door now, and I still feel like one of those is going to move on. Part of me wouldn't be surprised if we see both of them move on, and I don't know in terms of squad numbers, positions, if that means City then have to go out and get another player. Obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White was linked for a long time. Is that something they rekindle if they manage to get, I don't know, what in the ballpark of... What would represent good business if Gundogan and Bernardo Silva moved on? Both of which are out of contract next summer as well. 35 million quid, 40 million pound for both of them? I don't know. But say this nominal fee, whatever comes in, does City then go out and spend it on another midfielder? Because then you're talking real fresh legs in that midfield. You're talking Rodri coming back, Nico Gonzalez, who signed in January, Tijani Reinders, Kovacic is still there. I think he's injured at the moment. He's meant to be back at the start of the season. And then say, add another one in there. Phil Foden's probably, hopefully, going to be back up and fit and firing as well. So I still think as good as that first mini window has been, and as right as we all are to be properly buzzing about it, especially heading into that Club World Cup, I think personally it has intrigued me. It's made my appetite for this competition go up because we know we're going to be seeing some of these young players. And as well, we know we're probably going to be seeing some of the January signings that I don't think we maybe saw enough of at the end of last season. Kusanov, Nico Gonzalez, maybe even Vita Rice. I'm fascinated. I'm excited. I'm pretty giddy to see these players and how they set up at City, because it feels like there's fresh blood in the team, and we haven't had fresh blood for the best part of a year now. Last summer it was Gundogan, it was Savinho coming in, a prospect, a high potential player in Savinho, a bit of experience with Gundogan. There wasn't that player who's coming straight into the team, ready to do it, ready to make a difference. And City have added a few of them now. Ryan Aït-Nouri, that left-hand side with Gvardiol at left centre-back and Ryan Aït-Nouri at left-back or left wing-back or whatever should be frightening. You've got above that Marmoush or potentially even Jeremy Doku. You go across the position and quietly City have got a really exciting squad and let's say a really good squad. Again, if you look at the team that they're taking to the Club World Cup, I've mentioned my weaknesses there in terms of positions that I think we could see a movement on. Goalkeeper and right back. I will mention, by the way, in case it wasn't clear, that isn't me necessarily go and boot Ederson out because of anything he's done wrong. In my opinion, he's still the best goalkeeper for Manchester City in terms of tactics, in terms of setup, in terms of style of play. But 1 year left in his contract, he wasn't necessarily available as much as you'd like last season. I don't think City can have another year where the goalkeeper spot is changing hands, first backup comes, I think that City need a bit more stability between the sticks, basically. So that's why I've highlighted that as a potential option. But even still, take those concerns that I have out of it, you're still talking a very strong core, a very strong squad. It feels like this rebuild that started in January is starting to take real shape now, which is great. which is what we wanted. Hugo Viana, Cheeky Bergerstein, whoever else is working behind the scenes, they have hit the boxes. They have ticked every sort of mini milestone that you'd have wanted of them, that you'd have expected of them at this point. My question is, and I'm not necessarily demanding it, saying, we need to go out and spend another 100 million quid this summer, because if City started the season with this squad, I think it'd still be good. It'd still be possibly good enough to challenge for the title. But I do think, I wonder, I have that intrigue when the Club World Cup is finished, if we start seeing a right-back name, Tino Livramento, for example, City going after a player like that, or a goalkeeper, or whatever else it might be. I wonder if there is more to come. And I mean, licking your lips if it is the case, because it's been so good so far. And yeah, just I think a real confidence booster for a lot of supporters after what was, let's face it, an all-right season in the end. FA Cup final, Champions League qualification. It wasn't a disaster throughout the whole season, but there were certainly points where that was definitely the case. So yeah, I think everyone's morale has been boosted by the last month of activity since the season ended. And like I said, excitement for the Club World Cup, which I don't think a lot of people were thinking this was the case 6 months ago. Regardless of how City were doing, this tournament felt like a bit of a hindrance. But now I can't wait to see these players in action. Maybe that's just me. Maybe everyone else is going to go, well, no, actually, can't be bothered with it. Not even going to bother watching the matches. Blah blah. I don't know, but I feel like the general feeling now is that City aren't quite back, but maybe close to being back. That was a good chat. Thank you for watching, as always. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Let us know any conversation topics that you want us to touch on throughout the summer. Maybe deep dives into some City targets, transfer links, players that you might want to see at the club. As always, Discord link in the description of this video. And until next time, it has been a pleasure, and we will see you later.